Morning, everyone. Good to see you. Well, it's nice to be seen by you. I don't know how else to phrase it. I hope you all had a good Ash Wednesday. I enjoyed mine because for the first time in 4 decades, I didn't have to officiate or celebrate or come up with anything reasonable to say. I just was able to savor the spirituality of the day and really appreciate one of the best written portions of the Book of Common Prayer. I just thought I'd mention we're doing this a little more informally right now because I realized if I'm uh, doing this every day, there's no reason for me to try to turn it into a homily or even a sermon, good God, or a kind of meditation. It's really just a conversation we're having. Granted, it's a bit one sided at this point, but nevertheless, that's what its intention is. And so, well, that's what we'll try for now. The the point of it all is, as I used to say to my the lay preachers with whom I would work, since every day of Lent is its own holy day with its own collect, its own readings, its own intentions, that sometimes the best thing to do when trying to construct something sensible to say about a particular date is you look at all the readings, you read, of course, all the readings, you internalize them to the best of your ability, and you find that one verse, just that one verse that hooks your attention for whatever reason. And that's the one you think about during the course of the day. That's the one, if you're writing a sermon, around which you, well, compose your sermon. And the one that expands from that point forward as you think about it, as you pray and meditate on that particular verse. And you'll see the one that caught my attention up above, uh, just underneath the title of this video. And that took me back a little bit. You see, once upon a time, and for a long time, I worked with students, a variety of ages, but for the most part, high school seniors was the group I worked with. Really the most inquisitive stage, and of course they're thinking about what it is now to graduate from high school and to move on to an entirely different atmosphere in college, or at least it used to be. And so I would teach them religion and philosophy, but it was religion in particular that seemed to vex them, and that was always fascinating to me. Christianity was difficult for them. Now, in part, it's because they didn't know anything about it. They were, as we say, without knowledge. And in Greek, without knowledge is agnostic. So when someone tells you, "Oh, I'm an agnostic," that just means they have no knowledge of that of which they speak. And some of them had received some information about Christianity uh, that was really deeply in error. And those were the two groups I had to work with, those without knowledge and those with really, really wrong knowledge. And their view of Christianity was it was a series of rules and constraints to which people should conform, or else they weren't considered to be, I don't know, good citizens, good Christians, good and faithful people. As it was a fascinating time. And they'd also point out to how flawed Christians could be. As if, that's come on. If you're not flawed, then what is it you're receiving from Christianity? We all come to it with our flaws. We come to it with our, sometimes our, this is an overused term, but we come to it with our brokenness. We come to Christianity, we come to the sacrament for healing, for all of that which matters and enables us to be whole and walk in beauty, as the Greeks would say, in some sort of comfortable association with God and covenant and all of those things. And okay, so that's where I was with them. And it fascinated me because who in American culture is more of a conformist than an American teenager? I mean, it's as if they were saying, yeah, we just want to be free, man. We just want to be free. free to conform with whatever we're told, especially by consumerist culture, whatever we're told to have and hold as a value. And so a lot of the challenge was teaching them the reality of Christianity, which is, in fact, it's about freedom. Christianity gives us the freedom to choose. We have all sorts of things laid in front of us that enable us to make a clear and conscious choice. And that goes back as far as the Garden of Eden. God said, don't eat from the tree of knowledge, or else there will be consequences. And nevertheless, the human race, at that point merely Adam and Eve, the human race decided to make the choice to eat from the tree of knowledge. And there were consequences. And we've been dealing with them ever since. In other words, that which became Judaism and Christianity was born out of that choice and those consequences. Yes, we lost paradise, but we also gained the ability to choose to be with God, not forced to be with God or expected to be with God or have our reality arranged in such a way that we could only be with God. We made it a choice. And in the same way that we choose to love as opposed to be hateful or indifferent. That's what was gained through that. And there are consequences, certainly. There is a discipline to being a Christian. There are moments of great difficulty, and those are some of those moments we, in particular, wrestle with during the season of Lent. But at the same time, it grants us that freedom that has often been elusive in other spiritual disciplines. We have the ability to choose to love. And that especially becomes our reality in the season of Lent. We recite our prayers, we read scripture, we seek correction in our education if we've gone astray somehow, and we find in all of that the freedom that is at the heart of the Christian experience. We are free to do these things. We are free to dive into Scripture. We're free to question our relationship with God. We are free to wrestle with God. We're free to find our own path to God. And you can't get more spiritually free than that. That's some kind of constraint, huh? The ability to choose our own path to God and to make choices along the way which enrich our journey. And gloriously, and this is very important, to make mistakes, to fail, to sometimes, and again, I'm going to go in that overused territory, to experience breakage, without which we can't experience healing. We cannot feel the joys of wholeness unless we have realized the direness of brokenness. And all of that is revealed in this glory that is the season of Lent, where we exercise our greatest freedom. We take on responsibility. Yeah, there are disciplines involved in anything worthwhile. We take that on and we make it our own, and we find we have blazed this spiritual trail that we didn't even realize existed. And we have made it such that, well, we follow others and others can follow us. How is that not about freedom? And that's what we relish and enjoy. Now, on the rest of this page, you will see a link to the readings that are particular for the Thursday after Ash Wednesday, and you will find the collect that is particular to the Thursday after Ash Wednesday. And I hope you'll use those for your meditation or your quiet moments today. And think about the freedom of choice that you have and how that has brought you to this stage and level of your Christian awareness so that you are able to use it to dive even more deeply into the heart of the gospel and into the great responsibilities and justice of the newer covenant. We'll talk again tomorrow.